You'd be surprised to know that video games are better at teaching new things than most US schools. Many people would have you believe that video games are a waste of time and are detrimental to your health. And while video games can be bad in excess, the reality is that video games are a potent learning tool. You see, video games have two purposes in student learning. They use a technique called on-demand learning, and, well, they're fun. The term on-demand learning is pretty self-explanatory. When you need to apply the information, it is given to you. Here's an example. You are playing this game called Elden Ring, which is a difficult action role-playing game where your goal is to become Elden Lord. Anyways, at the start of the game, your character can have a bow as a weapon choice. You don't know how to use a bow, and the game doesn't tell you either until you enter combat with the bow for the first time. The game then pauses and explains how the bow is used in a quick tutorial. This differs from how teaching is done in US schools, which focus on memorization and drilling information into a student's head that will then never be brought up again in a few days or even months later when they have to take the test on the material that they learned. The US schools focus on grades and standardized tests. Students are less encouraged to learn and are instead encouraged to cram right before a test. The student then forgets all the information because it will never be used again. The teaching method is called rote learning, and it is very inefficient. You see, rote learning is heavily discouraged in critical thinking and is near useless for complex material, but unfortunately it is still a primary method in which schools teach their students. Rote learning is also, well, pretty boring. Did you ever find yourself zoned out in school during a test or passed out on your desk because you knew what the teacher was saying was basically wouldn't matter in a few days? Well, this was fine 30 years ago when factory owners originally lobbied for the changes. Most people would work in factories when they graduated from high school. Employers nowadays want workers who can think on their feet and solve complex tasks. This is where video games come in. You see, if a student is having fun learning, they are far more likely to retain that information so that they can use it later in life, and video games are a fantastic learning medium.